Take my lips and to speak through them. Take our minds and think with them. Take our hearts and set them on fire. Amen. Please be seated. When I was little, I used to like standing on my head. I was even shorter then. Just about everything in the world was taller than I was. Taller and very boring. But by standing on my head, I could liven things up a little. The Bermuda grass hung in front of my eyes like green fringe. The pine trees grew down, not up, and the sky was a blue lawn that went on forever. For as long as I kept my balance, I could tap dance on it, while the woodpeckers and clouds flew under my feet. My swing set was no longer an A, but a V, and our house seemed in danger of falling off the yard, just shooting off into space like a rocket, leaving a sidewalk lined with camellia bushes that led to nowhere. I liked standing on my head because it made me see old things in a new way. I liked it because it made life seem exciting and unpredictable. In a world where trees grew down and houses might fall up, anything seemed possible. I think Jesus should have asked the crowd to stand on their heads when he taught them the Beatitudes, because that was what he was doing. He was turning the known world upside down so that those who had been fighting for breath at the bottom of the human heap suddenly found themselves closest to heaven, while those who thought they were on top of things found themselves flat on their backs looking up. The formula itself was not new to anyone. Beatitudes were common expressions in those days, and not only in religious circles. They were everyday sayings about the good life, listing virtues that anyone would have been pleased to have. Blessed are the wise, for they shall not be fooled. Blessed are the strong, for their enemies shall fear them. Blessed are the wealthy, for they shall never go hungry. That sort of thing. Another word for blessed in this formula is happy. The French translation is debonair. I like that. Debonair are those who have invested well, for their old age shall be secure. What was so shocking about Jesus' list was not the form, but the content. Blessed are the meek, the mournful, the poor in spirit. Who was he kidding? There was nothing debonair about any of those. What was so happy about hungering and thirsting for righteousness, or about being reviled and persecuted? Rejoice and be glad? No one with a lick of sense was going to vote for any of those definitions of the good life. But Jesus did not ask for anyone's approval. He just redefined the good life in 9 short sentences and held them out for everyone to see. 9 portraits of kingdom people, previously known as victims, dreamers, pushovers, fools. They are the chosen ones, he said. The blessed, who shall see God face to face. They are the happy ones, the lucky ones who shall be satisfied. Not because they got an advance copy of the rules and played by them to win, but because winning was the farthest thing from their minds. Most of us do not know what to do with the Beatitudes. Having lost their original shock value, some of us hear them as a sweet Christian poem, something to needlepoint and hang over the piano. Others of us hear them as a new set of commandments and worry that we are not meek enough, pure enough, persecuted enough. But if you really listen, you will hear that the language of the Beatitudes is not transactional language. You do this, and you will receive this. You do that, and you will receive that. It is descriptive language. This is who these people are now, and this is what the future holds for them. It is not the language of poetry or law, but of gospel. The language of hope and promise that the way things are now is not the way they will always be. And that those who have been disregarded, displaced, despised are God's chosen. This language of hope and promise is no better featured nor more in need of respecting than through the intentional observance of Black History Month. This year's theme is 100 years of commemoration, honoring that Black History Month got its start a century ago. From land and statues to holidays and rituals, forms of commemorations for Black culture have endured the time to understand the modern world, especially nations where Black peoples form a significant population. One must grapple with the impact that public observances have had on the past and the present. This year, when we are also commemorating the 250th anniversary of United States independence, it is important to tell not only an inclusive history, but an accurate one. We have never had more need to examine the role of Black History Month than we do when forces weary of democracy seek to use legislative means and book bans to excise Black history from America's schools and public culture. Black history's value is not its contribution to mainstream historical narratives, but its resonance in the lives of Black people. Much of the power of the hope and promise of the Beatitudes depends on where you are sitting when you hear them. They sound different from on top than they do from underneath. They sound different from up front than they do in the back. Up front with the religiously satisfied and self-assured, they sound pretty confrontational. Where is your hunger and thirst, you well-fed Christians? Where are the bones of your soul showing through your clothes? And why aren't your handkerchiefs soaked with tears? But way in the back, with the victims, the dreamers, the pushovers, and the fools, the Beatitudes sound completely different. Shh, they say. Dry your tears, beloved ones. The whole earth belongs to you, though someone else still holds the keys. It won't be long now. The future promises still hold, but the blessings are not deferred. Heaven begins now. God's dream is being realized with and for you. God's reign of love and justice is at hand. They are the same words in every place, of course. It is just the ears that change. Each of us hearing Jesus' description of the good life through our own filters as something foreign or something familiar, as something to be sought or something to be feared. I guess you can do anything you want with the Beatitudes. People always have. Some have ignored them. Some have admired them and walked away. Some have used them as a yardstick to measure their own blessedness. And some have used them to declare revolution. The simplest thing to do with them, perhaps, is to let them stand you on your head so that you cannot see the world in the same way again. Upside down, you begin to see God's blessed ones in places it would never have occurred to you to look. You begin to see that the poor in spirit, the meek, and those who mourn are not just people you can help, but people who can help you if you will let them. And that their hunger and thirst for God are not voids to be filled, but appetites to be envied. Upside down, you begin to see that the peacemakers are not domestic terrorists, but healers, prescribing God's own tranquility and justice. And that the pure in heart have just never gotten the knack of locking their doors. Upside down, you begin to see that those who have been bruised for their faith are not the sad ones, but the happy ones, because they have found something worthy of being bruised for. And that those who are merciful, are just handing out what they have already received in abundance. The world looks funny upside down. But maybe that is just how it looks when you have got your feet planted in heaven. Jesus did it all the time and seemed to think that we could do it too. So blessed are those who stand on their heads, for they shall see the world as God sees it. They shall also find themselves in good company, turned upside down by the only one who really knows which way is up. As we navigate the narratives that shape our understanding of Black history, it is essential to pause and recognize not just the struggles, but the powerful spirit of resilience, unity, and hope that carries forward through generations. Inspired by the sacred verses of the Beatitudes, here is a reimagined homage entitled The Beatitudes of Black History. These words are not just a tribute, but a reminder of the blessings born from endurance, the strength in storytelling, and the legacy that fuels the journey. May these truths resonate with your spirit as we honor the past and uplift the future together. Blessed are those who honor their roots, for they shall walk in the strength of their ancestors. Blessed are the storytellers, for they shall preserve the legacy of resilience and triumph. Blessed are those who seek knowledge beyond the margins, for they shall uncover the unyielding spirit of forgotten heroes. Blessed are the bridge builders, for they shall unite generations with wisdom and hope. Blessed are the mourners of injustice, for they shall be comforted by the unbreakable will to overcome. Blessed are those who fight for freedom and equity, for they shall inherit a world reimagined by their courage. Blessed are the resilient, whose voices rise against oppression, for they shall shape a future filled with justice and peace. Blessed are those who teach with truth and boldness, for they shall plant seeds of empowerment and pride. Blessed are the artists, poets, and musicians, for they shall sing the songs that echo through the halls of time. Blessed are the dreamers who see hope where others see despair, for they shall carry forward the visions of Harriet, Martin, Malcolm, and so many more. Blessed are the children who learn their history not as chains, but as wings, for they shall rise, knowing the sky has no limits. Amen.
Amen.